What's up guys, today I'm going to share with you the 3 best Fujifilm lenses for landscape photography and the Fujifilm XT system. Let's get started. With the introduction of the Fujifilm XT4, I thought this would be a great time to make my recommendations for the 3 best Fujifilm lenses for landscape photography. Landscape photography involves everything from getting the wide sweeping view of the landscape all the way to the little tiny details of that landscape. This trio of lenses will provide sharp images within that focal range. Let's get started with our first lens, which is this lens right here. This is the XF10-24 f4 wide angle zoom. This lens is going to give you the equivalent from 15 to 36 millimeters on a full frame camera. The XF10-24 f4 wide-angle zoom is one of Fujifilm's most versatile lenses. With a full-frame equivalent focal length of 15 to 36, this allows you to capture a dynamic scene that involves a prominent foreground all the way to a dramatic sky in the distant background. The build quality is also very good while remaining very lightweight, especially when compared to its full-frame counterparts, coming in at just 410 grams. While it is not weather sealed, I have never had an issue shooting with it for seascapes or taking it into colder, snowy environments. Chromatic aberrations and distortions are fairly well controlled in this lens. Color accuracy and sharpness are very good to excellent. The image quality is sharp throughout the range, with its best performance around f8 from my personal experience. The alternative to this lens is the Fujifilm 8 to 16mm f2.8, which I have also owned in the past, but I have since sold. That is a great lens in that you have a wider focal length to use at the wide end, even better distortion control, a constant aperture of f2.8, which comes in handy for astrophotography. It's got weather sealing and slightly better image quality overall. It's hard for me to recommend that one though, because it's more than twice the price of the XF10-24. In most cases, it has a retail price of $2,000. Sometimes Fujifilm does have some discounts, but it is quite a hefty price for also a very hefty lens, which is close to twice the weight of the 10-24. And the image quality, though better, is only marginally so and negligible in many practical landscape photography cases. Also, you want to keep in mind that the 10-24 does accept screw-on filters, where the 8 to 16mm does not. You need to buy a very expensive adapter system for that 8 to 16mm. Another reason why I cannot recommend the 8 to 16 over this lens here. So that's the 10-24, again, one of Fujifilm's most versatile lenses. Let's move on to lens number 2, which is the standard zoom, and that is the 16 to 55mm f2.8 red badge lens. And this is also known as the brick or the bag full of primes, and it really is a very sharp piece of glass. The XF 16 to 55 f2.8 zoom lens, which is approximately 24 to 84 millimeters in full frame equivalent, also known as the brick for its relatively heavy weight as a Fuji mirrorless lens, is a super sharp normal or standard zoom that provides superb sharpness and color rendition throughout its zoom range. I like to use this lens as my main walk-around lens when hiking around, looking for smaller scenes to shoot. When I want to pull it back for a wider scene, the 16mm provides that extra field of view in a pinch when I don't want to switch to the XF 10-24mm. The build quality is even better than that of the XF 10-24, which it should be, as it is one of the red badge lenses Fuji considers professional level. It is weather resistant too. The physical optics of the lens includes 3 aspherical lens elements to control spherical aberration and distortion, and 3 ED glass lens elements. This lens is able to achieve edge-to-edge sharpness across the entire zoom range, and I did notice this in direct comparisons to the alternative Fujifilm lens in the range, which was the XF 18 to 55mm f2.8 to f4 kit lens, which is actually a pretty good lens too. If you ask me if you could only buy one red badge lens from Fuji, it would probably be this one or the next lens that I'm going to recommend, which is this lens right here. So this is the 50 to 140 f2.8 telephoto zoom lens. This is going to be the completion of your trinity if you're thinking from wide end to telephoto end. So this is kind of like your equivalent to the 70 to 200 in a Nikon or Canon or Sony system. The Fujifilm XF50 to 140 f2.8 is my third and final lens recommendation for Fujifilm lenses for landscape photography, and it completes the traditional focal length trinity for landscape photography, giving a full frame equivalent focal length of 76 to 213 millimeters. The XF50 to 140 was probably the toughest decision to make as far as a recommendation, because I really do like the Fujifilm XF55 to 200 zoom as well, but there are some real differences that make this lens a winner. From Fuji, in regards to the optical design, this lens incorporates 5 extra low dispersion elements and 1 super ED element, which reduces chromatic aberrations and color fringing for increased clarity and color accuracy. This is definitely noticeable to my own eyes when I compare this to the XF55 to 200 millimeters. The 50 to 140 just has something magical about the detail that it produces, the contrast as well as the color in its images, which I couldn't quite get with the 55 to 200. The major con of the 50 to 140 is that it is quite a hefty lens. That is something to consider again if you're doing a lot of hiking in your landscape shots. The price is also something to consider when you're thinking about this versus the 55 to 200, but I feel that the benefits that this lens provides in the micro contrast and the detail outweigh the cost of the lens itself. As far as red badge lenses go, again, I was saying that the 16 to 55 was one of my favorite red badge zoom lenses, but if I could only recommend one red badge zoom, it would be the 50 to 140 f2.8. So those are my recommendations for the 3 best Fujifilm landscape lenses. Honestly, I don't think Fujifilm makes a bad lens, but those recommendations that I gave you today, I think are going to give you the best quality of images in a relatively lightweight package when you're considering this versus full frame. Now, if weight is a real big consideration for you, I probably would stick to the lighter weight options, as they do give you pretty good image quality. But if you're someone like me that did come from full frame and you don't want to give too much of that detail away, and you still like the Fujifilm system, then I would strongly consider the lenses that I recommended here today. The 10 to 24 again is the only non-red badge lens in this recommendation list, and the main reason for me was those screw-on filters. I don't use filters all the time, but again, I can't see myself using any of those complicated adapters. I would say that if cost, weight, and price were of absolute no consideration, I wouldn't hesitate to get that 8 to 16 millimeter, as I do find it helpful for astrophotography as well. The good thing about the 10 to 24 is that you can just mount it on something like a star tracker, and that's going to give you clean images for the night sky as well. If you're a hardcore astrophotographer, I think the f4 is probably going to be too slow. In that case, you might want to consider the Rokinon 12mm f2 or the 8 to 16 millimeter f2.8. But again, if you have the brick, you'll have that versatility of the 2.8 at the 16 millimeter end, so that is something to consider as well. That's all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to click subscribe and ring the notification bell for more photo tips, tricks, and camera gear reviews. Make sure to comment below if you enjoyed some of those images that you saw in the video today. In the future, I would like to make some tutorials start to finish on how I edited those images, so if you are interested, make sure you comment below to let me know that someone does actually want to see those tutorials, so I don't make them for nothing. Anyhow, again, thanks for watching. Until next time, take care, and we'll see you soon. Pew, 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 pew.